Greetings, this is Kyle Christian Steele, and I'm one of the co-founders of Constant Insight. And today I want to talk about how you can learn as much information as possible about your prospects before you even pick up the phone and call them or before they get in. So a dealership contacted us and said, hey, we want to understand how we can use Contact Insight better to help us learn about our prospects. So learn as much information about our prospects. So we were like, okay, the one thing that Constant Insight is good at is processing leads on autopilot, right? So when we say processing leads on autopilot, it's about getting information obviously out to prospects as fast as possible, and then at the same time being able to get intelligence on those individuals by simply using an email address that allows that organization to really get a quick picture on, if the prospect is interested in their product or service, and then also demographic information, social identities, all the stuff you need to connect the dots or to establish rapport with a prospect, right? Okay, so the process is pretty simple. So let's just say a dealership, they get a bunch of applications in for new cars or used cars, and they either get it in through their website or people come in and they submit it some way. All right, so what the manager can now do is take and start a campaign. Now, a campaign is specifically designed for a specific product or a section on the website. So let's just say it's a campaign for the new 2013 Model T Ford, which I know doesn't exist, but just for the sake of this, to make it entertaining, let's just say the Model T Ford is still a car that's out in the street and creating a lot of noise out there. So he creates a campaign for the new Model T Ford, and everybody who inquires about this, he wants to run them through the system. So he creates the campaign, and let's just go to the campaign real quick. And he wants to set up his email that goes out to people the moment that he submits their email address, along with some content about the Model T Ford. Now, this is important because he wants to establish how interested they are in the new 2013 Model T Ford. But he can also decouple this, right? He can just use this strictly just for an intelligence purpose. So for the case of this, what we're going to do is he gets he has a list of emails, and what he do really quickly is go over to the kiosk, and he can enter the emails in one by one. Or if he has a list, he can wait, and he can go to bulk upload, and he can upload all the email addresses automatically into the system. Now, if the email campaign is turned on, then what will happen is the moment they're uploaded, everything will get fired off to that prospect. If it's not, then nothing will get fired off. But in this case, something's getting fired off, and he submits the email address. Now, before I do this, let's look at this. Let's go to the reports just so you can see what I'm talking about. This is the report section. There's nothing here, right? There's nothing here. So let's just say I submit my application in online. Now the manager puts in my email address, and he submits it, okay? Now the moment he submits it, says prospect info collected successfully. And if I go to my email, what I see is an email showed up from Constant Insight about the new Model T Ford. Or actually, if it's your dealership, it'll say your dealership, or your mortgage company will say your mortgage company. And so everything is there. So I see, hey, I got an email from them. I have some information that I can view about the Model T Ford, and we're all good. So as a person inquiring about the vehicle, I get what I need. Now, the most important thing is to make sure you get what you need, which is the insight. Now, if we go to the report section, what we notice is that Kyle C. Steele, all right, here's his email address, and here's a summary. Okay, he opened up the email 25 seconds ago. Here's his first name, last name. Here's his location. Here's some bio, and here's all his social identities. Now, we can dive into this a little further to get some more detail about who Kyle C. Steele is. So if we look at this report, here's his activity. Based on what he does here, he's expressing a certain level of interest in your product or service. So if he goes in, he opens the email up, he downloads the content, or he accesses the vault where your content is, and he downloads something, that shows that he's very, very interested in your product. Now, the next thing is we go into the demographic information. So really quickly, we can see his last name, his first name, where he's located, his gender. Now, everything doesn't necessarily always show up, but we do our best to pull all the information together as possible. But in this case, at least we have his website, his blog, which is interesting because now we can go and find out what he's talking about. And then we see who he works for, okay, where he's a co-founder over Dotcaster. And then the most important piece here, we're definitely trying to connect the dots and establish rapport as a salesperson talking to a prospect. We have all his social identity. So we have his Google+, his Twitter, his Cloud, his Vimeo, his LinkedIn, his Facebook. We have everything here that we need right here without lifting a finger to start researching this individual so that way before we even call him or before he walks in, we can quickly establish rapport with something that we saw. All right, and the last piece is if you want to take it to the next level, right, you now have his picture. So you can take this picture, give it to your receptionist, and when she notices that Kyle Steele walks in the door, she can say, "Hey, Mr. Steele, how you doing? Welcome into our showroom." And Kyle Steele will be absolutely amazed. Like, how do you know who I am? But so this is what we're talking about. We're talking about just giving people who have a retail-like business. So we're talking about dealerships, mortgage companies, anybody who has a large volume of people coming in, requesting services, or looking to buy something, and before you even make that first call or that first contact, to be able to quickly do a couple of things. One, put in their information into the kiosk, right? Two, to be able to send information to them, whether it's your product brochure, in this case it's the Model T, 2013 Model T brochure, and three, to look at the report to see who this individual is, so that way, four, we can start establishing his interest level in the product, and five, all his demographics, social profiles, and organizational work history, so we can start establishing rapport with this individual really, really quickly. So that's how, once again, mortgage companies, dealerships, and any retail business can use Constant Insight to help them bring down the resistance level, establish rapport, and most importantly, get deals sold. All right, so that's it. So thank you very much.